So welcome back to another day in the woods. I'm here, Amber's here, and guess who else is here? Mike's here as well. We're going to be here for a day or two. We're doing an overnighter, we've got some food to cook up, and we're going to also make a few more improvements. I know we've done so many improvements to the Viking house, there's not that much to do. So not only are we going to cook some food up today, we're also going to be chinking the gaps with some clay over there at the gable end. When it comes to the clay, well, the clay we're going to be using, I'm not sure if you remember from the previous episode, this tree fell down after a big bit of wind pushed it right over during a big storm. And you can see there's a big pile of clay and clayey muddy water down there. We're going to gather that up and we're going to go to the back of the Viking house to the gable end and chink all those gaps. Chinking wise, clay wise, well, all these gaps right there, we're going to fill those gaps so that tonight it'll reduce the draft coming through. So for the salmon, we need a chopping board. We've just sawn this bit of cedar in half. Now we want to split it down the middle. Hopefully end up with two nice even planks that we can use as a chopping board. It's working well. So it doesn't have to be perfectly flat. We only need it for a few minutes so we can prepare our salmon. This is what we're after. This is a nice piece of hazel. Remember, we've got a giant salmon. We're going to be cooking this over the fire. In fact, we're going to be butterflying this salmon. We're then going to thread it down. Once we split this hazel, we're going to thread it down and lean this into the fire. And I think this will do the job. The method for cooking this fish is called panassing, and it's a great way to get a bit of smoky flavour into that fish. So what we're doing here is we're making skewers. Remember, when this fish has been butterflied, we're going to be skewering 3 of these through the fish. And then with that long piece of hazel, we're going to split that down, open it, so that way we can clamp through the middle of our fish and then rest it up, leaning into the fire, downwind, so it gets a bit smoky. Leave that for an hour or so, and hopefully it'll end up being really tasty. So the plan now is to batten down, go all the way right down to about there, and then split it open. Like this. So there's one more of nature's ingredients that we need, and that's a root for binding. So I'm just removing lots of the bark and lots of the dirt just to reveal this nice clean root. Remember, this is going to be used for binding. So it's now time to split down the middle of this root to end up with 2 pieces. This will make it a lot more pliable. So this is how we split down the middle of the root, paying very close attention and making sure it doesn't peel off on one side more than it does on the other side, because we want to go down the whole length. So this is our salmon, and this will be our dinner for tonight. First thing we need to do is take off the tail, then we want to take off the head. Once we've done that, we're going to just work the knife down here, open it up, and then very, very carefully, we're going to slowly and very gently remove the backbone. A lot of this you can do just using your fingers. So now that I've removed the part of the backbone, I'm now going to very carefully remove the rest of it. And this would be great for a fish stock, along with the rest of the tail and the head. So we now want to thread these skewers through the fish, but before we do that we need to make a few holes. One there. So that's one. Now we have to do these two. So now's a good time just to remove any of these scales. But I'm pretty happy with that. As you can see, we've split this down and it's just about long enough to thread the fish down through the middle, and then using our cordage, remember this is our cedar root cordage which we split, this is going to be bound around the top, securing the fish from falling out into the fire. Now it's time to get this in the ground and over the heat. Tell you what, this is my favourite way of cooking fish.
Look at that. Fresh out the sea, boys.
Fresh out the sea. That's going to be super tasty. You know what, guys? I think we're in for another feast tonight, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Keep going, man.
So to go with our salmon, why not? Just like last time, let's bake a loaf of bread. So you can probably work out where I am. Well, what I'm doing is I'm collecting some of this clay, and this stuff is great for chinking, for filling in the gaps in the gable end. So this is it, this is the clay. And these are the gaps we're trying to fill. So you can see we've got some nice colour on the salmon. It's looking really good. It's been cooking for about an hour and a half, very slow, very smoky. I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to eating this. Now in the meantime, I've put some butter in this mini Dutch oven. What we're now going to do is we're going to go and collect some wild chives to stick in the butter, so when we come to eat the salmon, we'll be spooning over chivy, buttery goodness. I can't wait. And to go with that, we've got our freshly baked loaf of bread. Well, not quite, we're yet to bake it, but you can see how much it's grown in size after proving it for an hour. So now it's time to bake the bread. So the bread's currently cooking in the Dutch oven. And you know what? We really do have an absolute feast for tonight. we've got about 3.5 kilos of salmon, a loaf of bread, and lots of chivy butter. So we've now come down here to the lake to collect some of these lovely wild chives. So I'm just slicing up a bit of the wild chive, which shortly I'll be adding to the butter. Oh yes, and that is looking good. Woo, that's hot. Woo. Yep, sounds hollow. Must be done. Here we are. Look at the colour on that. I think we can call it done. Well, Mike, dinner is served.
The feast is ready.
Oh, look at that.
That looks awesome. It falls off.
Speechless. The great thing about taking the backbone out along with the bones is that you don't end up eating the bones or having bones in your mouth. We have to pull them out. It makes it so much nicer. So as you can probably tell, the light's faded. We've had a good feast, and it's now time to draw the flickering flames. Maybe have an alcoholic beverage or two.
Well, guys, we are a few hours. We are actually a few hours down the line.
It's been a few hours since
It's been a few hours since daylight, so we've had the most incredible smoked salmon. Now look, we've paced ourselves a bit more from the last overnighter. Those guys that came and viewed the last overnighter, we went a bit big, so
we did.
We paced ourselves a bit.
Flavour.
What I was thinking earlier is you can't even say that that was a complicated recipe. So
Not
you could
at
argue
all.
that the
Anyone could do-
recipes you've cooked before have been like quite good, lots of spices, but actually they're very, that was
Whatever
as
we've
simple as
cooked
it
in the
gets.
past, over the last 10 videos,
Every
whatever we've
everyday
cooked,
man can get it.
you could do
And
it
woman.
in the backyard, in your backyard.
Yeah.
No problem at all. It's nothing complicated.
So we have busted out the old ale horns, good old fashioned ale horns from last episode.
Cheers,
They're
Mike.
probably just as mouldy, but cheers and cheers to you guys for tuning
Cheers,
in.
guys. So we've got a little bit of a midnight snack right here. We've got some pork belly. Yes, we did have an absolute feast earlier on with the salmon. But you know what? One of my favourite things to cook over a fire is pork belly. I absolutely love this stuff. It's really tasty.
Oh yes.
There you go, Mike. Help
Mate,
yourself.
thank you. Look at this.
Well, guys, it's time to call it night. We've had a lovely bit of smoked salmon tonight, as well as some home-baked bread. Well, fire pit cooked bread, and also a nice bit of very tasty pork belly. Lovely. I love that stuff. So, I'll see you all in the morning. Good night. Well, believe it or not, the fire was still actually smouldering away. So we've got some nice bread toasting off in the bacon fat. The bacon's looking nice and cooked, quite crispy actually. Just how I like it. So Mike, breakfast is served. Oh wow.
Thank you.
Well, all good things have got to come to an end. And last night was awesome. The food was great, company was great. We had a few beers, standard. But have a look at this. This is Mike's new merch. Look, long live the memory of the Viking House. How brilliant is that? Look at it. If you're interested in any of this, Mike's new merch, taofficial.com, check it out. Looks just like the real thing.
That's cool, man.
Guys, if you've made it this far, thank you once again. Please don't forget to subscribe. Mike, it's been awesome.
Mate, it's been really good
Thanks
fun.
again.
Another blast at the Viking House.
We really do have a good time here, don't we?
It's so fun. I absolutely love coming here and just doing
You know what?
random films.
I'm already looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
We've got some big things planned. Stay tuned, make sure you're following, and we'll see you next time.